everybody, and welcome to the Rockwell Canada Sail Grand Prix. Halifax, the 11th stop of Season 4 in SailGP. Todd Harris alongside Olympian Stevie Morrison as we get you ready for the action. SailGP, Stevie, making their first visit to Canada, and this will be a very interesting event.
Well, I think so. It's a fantastic venue. It's right in a sort of what looks like a very traditional fishing port on that eastern coastline there, and really in tight course, right in with the crowds. Of course, Canada's been a really good addition to SailGP. Won an event in Season 3, got a pretty lively skipper in Phil Robertson, and Billy Gooderham's been one of these sort of all-star newcomers to the flight controller position. So. But plenty of pressure on that home team, yeah. I think. It's going to be great to see what SailGP looks like in Halifax Harbour there. Certainly he's looked good on the camera shots we've seen so far, but nothing quite like race day to really bring it alive.
Having home water advantage does not guarantee yourself a spot in the final or a victory. We've seen that throughout SailGP's history. Right now, Canada sits in 6th place overall, 12 points out of that third and final championship spot for the grand final. So, is the pressure squarely on the shoulders of Phil Robertson in Canada, or do you think this is a chance for them, since it's the first time SailGP's been to Canada, they can just relax and soak it all in and advertise for the world that, hey, folks, we're open for business?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that's got to be on their list of things, isn't it? You know, there's a few SailGP-owned teams still. There's a lot of those teams that are now sold. The franchises are all bought up, and they've got to be looking to get themselves on the market. We got rumours flying around.
Ooh, spicy rumours.
Plenty of rumours saying, there's 4 SailGP-owned teams. There's 2 teams that want to join SailGP. We're going to get another boat built by next season. There'll be 11 boats on the start line, I think. And that means to me there's going to be some teams feeling like, we're going to get a spot on the start line. So definitely the pressure's on. But I think really the interesting thing about this weekend, certainly where my eyes are drawn really quickly, is that battle for third place. I sort of say that a bit casually because Australia are actually only 2 points ahead of the Spanish in third. But of course, you just expect so much of that Australian team and Tom Slingsby. It's pretty rare they don't make the finals, and certainly first time ever really for a couple of events they've been off the top of the season leaderboard, but they still got to be one of the favourites to get to that grand final in San Fran. New Zealand looking pretty in the box seat right now. They're probably just they're chasing the dollar bills, aren't they? They seem to be picking up a lot of event prize money so far. I think I heard they were up to nearly $900,000 of prize money already. Yeah. So Pete Burling and that are rolling around in style out in Halifax at the moment. But yeah, for Spain, Denmark, France and Canada, I think it's just pressure on for that battle for third. I mean, for USA and Emirates Great Britain, let's be honest, since the crew changes they've made mid-season, that they've struggled for performance, and I guess there's their own pressure in there. How much is Hannah Mills breathing down the neck of Giles Scott for that position as the driver? She maybe feels a bit upset about being overlooked, and Giles coming in and certainly not set the world alight at the wheel of that British boat just yet. And I kind of feel those boats are out of the battle for third. So for me, Canada, France, Denmark and Spain, that's where the pressure lies for this event.
I like to throw a little gas on the fire, a little petrol on the fire, as you would say. The GOAT, Hannah Mills. I just wonder, putting her at the driver position, what kind of splash would that make across sport, social media, everything, if they just went ahead and said, Hannah, you're it?
Well, I think like anything, it would make a splash if she then steps up to the bill, which,
and delivered.
Ultimately she's a 2-time gold medalist. She's got a silver medal as well. But then Giles has got 2 gold medals, there's no shortage of talent on that boat. But yeah, ultimately, I think if either of them came in and starts winning, it's going to raise some eyebrows. Hannah's an incredible athlete, incredible sailor. She's going to want to be getting a position on the wheel, and it would be probably pretty cool for SailGP if we did have our first female skipper, and Hannah would seem sort of in the box seat to do that.
Yeah.
Liv Mackay on board the New Zealand boat, she's had a lot of time on the wheel, and I think would be lining up, but hard to find too many faults with Peter Burling at the moment. They're winning an awful lot of races, an awful lot of events, and that Kiwi crew looks pretty settled as it is. Whereas, question marks around Emirates Great Britain. Ainsley left, and they were they're further up the leaderboard than they are now,
Could he come back? That's the big question. There's another rumor. It's like, could he come back possibly?
Well, it's Ben probably. I'm sure Ben would think he could. Does he want to come back? I suppose, potentially his calendar frees up a lot when the America's Cup ends this year, and he might be looking to come back into it. But he sort of said he was stepping down. He said it was for the young guns, younger generation to step up. Giles fits that bill. Hannah fits that bill. Emirates Great Britain. There's no shortage of talent in the British
Right,
roster.
right.
But yeah, they need to put the bits of the jigsaw together.
You talked about an 11th boat being built for a team being added to next year. Speaking of boat building, these boats are not cheap. And that's, I know, Captain Obvious statement of the year. But for Team USA coming off that disastrous incident in Bermuda where they got 0 points, weren't able to race that weekend, now they make a change with the wing trimmer. My question to you, Mr. Morrison, is that the right thing to be doing now with just 2 events and the next event being your home event in none other than the Big Apple, New York City?
Depends if he's any good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as they say, the proof will be in the pudding and the results will be in the tasting, won't they? I mean, it's a big move, and Jeremy, you know, he's a real character and a top level sailor. But
Jeremy Wilmot,
sorry, yeah, he's come in as the wing trimmer. But you know, let's be frank, he's never trimmed a solid wing sail. He's trimmed, what we'd call a traditional sail.
Right.
He comes from a slower boat sailing background. He's done a bit of catamaran sailing and all the rest of it, but perhaps not at this level. So it's going to be interesting to see how it fits in. He might be an absolute natural. He might go really well, but I think for the US team, you know, they might well be ruining losing Paul Campbell-James when that whole transfer season took shape, because, you know, CJ was a real feature of the team. CJ's gone on board Canada, and Canada have sort of, you know, fairly seamlessly carried on. I mean, I've got to say, I raised an eyebrow. I thought there might have been a few dollars offered the way of Chris Draper, who of course stepped back from that Canadian team mid-season. He's one of the more experienced wing trimmers, and the US team have come in guns blazing, but I think maybe they'll look at their decision to kind of get rid of what you might call SailGP F50 knowledge, and go for this fresh new approach, which of course, had it worked, would be waxing lyrical and saying how amazing it is. But yeah, I don't know. We can only speculate as to how they feel. But you know, certainly Victor was, you know, touted as I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere the US team saying he was the best sailor on the planet. So he's now gone within 2 events, and we don't know why that is. Of course, they had that incident in Bermuda, but we don't know what, you know, we don't know where Victor's gone. Maybe he just felt he wasn't enjoying the role. I don't know, but Jeremy, yeah. Plenty of pressure on their shoulders, plenty of pressure on Taylor's shoulders. I mean, you tell me, Todd, you're American. What does it mean for an American team to go and race on home water, New York City? I mean, it's going to be that. Let's be honest, could be one of the most spectacular events we've ever seen in SailGP, spectator-wise. And I don't know, you guys, you love a flag as a tradition over in the States, and I guess you love a hometown hero. You
talk about that venue. I mean, I don't know if it's really an iconic sailing venue, but the landmarks that are around there, with the financial district, the former home of the Twin Towers, and now you have Freedom Tower, you've got the Statue of Liberty, you're going down the Hudson River. I mean, if the conditions are right, it will be spectacular. And America likes winning. I mean, let's just be honest. They like winning teams. And so you ask the New York Yankees, they've won how many World Series, but they have a bad season, and the Boo Birds come out. So I have to feel that for Taylor Canfield and Jeremy Wilmot and this team, they really have to perform, not only in Canada, because our neighbors to the north, but they're going to have to deliver at the next event, which comes up June 22nd, 23rd, the Mubadala New York Sail Grand Prix.
Yeah, and of course, straight back to Halifax. You know, social media is... It's always an interesting world, social media, isn't it? But my word, I have enjoyed the Canada versus SailGP USA team. Let's call it banter, but certainly casual ribbing. The Canadians have been absolutely into the USA. So what better than for Taylor and the crew to do over the Canadians up on their waters? Yep. So I think that could be a nice little... well, maybe it's just a social media battle, but let's hope the USA can step up and make it a real battle on the water as well.
Stevie, before I get your predictions for this event, the Rockwell Canada Sail Grand Prix Halifax, give me your team that you've been the most surprised with, and not necessarily in the best way or the worst. What team is just kind of like, wow, either good or bad?
Oh, I could find an answer for any of the teams out there, to be perfectly honest with you. A little bit surprised with Switzerland, Nathan coming in, and you kind of thought Nathan Outridge coming in on the wheel would make a difference, but I think it's only highlighted how important every role on the boat is. So it's not just about bringing in one superstar, and that's kind of surprised me. Last couple of events, surprise, probably in a negative way. Well, Denmark, you know, they had that kind of catastrophe in New Zealand, didn't go great in Bermuda. You know, they were sort
but never terrible, never like.
No,
10th place. It's just...
But you sort of think that consistent, solid approach is all very good until you have a bad one. They're 9 points out of third now, and they look, you know, 2 events ago I thought they were a dialed-on team.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for them it's been a surprising disappointment. And then, well, you know, we shouldn't ignore the battle at the top. You know, Burling, Tuke, Maloney, the New Zealand crew against Slingsby, Langfield, and Waterhouse, you know, the big three there, and Tash Bryant and Liv Mackay. I mean, there's the
So much
real
talent.
big guns on that boat. And New Zealand, you know, he's got a little bit, there's plenty of excuses in Australia. They had a bit of an incident in New Zealand when the boat got put back together on the second day in Bermuda. A bit of the alignment and the settings on the boat, there was a mistake somehow, whether that's in the shore crew or whether that's in the Australian team. I don't know exactly how it happened, but the way the whole boat was put back together, the settings were all a bit off. It didn't seem too fast out there on that second day. And, you know, we're used to seeing Tom win. He's very good at winning. But, yeah.
I will say for me, France. I somehow I think Quentin Delapierre is always on the door knocking to blow through and be a top 3 team, and then just they're not there. I mean, for them to get 9th in Bermuda with those conditions, to me was shocking. I thought this is France's opportunity to really make a move up the ladder. They didn't do it. They currently sit in 5th, tied with Rockwell, Denmark right now. That's 9 points out of 3rd place, as Stevie pointed out, on 56 points. All right, let's turn our attention to this weekend, the Rockwell Canada Sail Grand Prix Halifax, 11th stop, season 4. This is 11 of 13 events, so just New York City and San Francisco coming up. Stevie, it's been a great season. SailGP coming to Canada for the very first time. Who will be in the final?
Oh, the trouble with this is always a little bit boring, isn't it? It's so hard to look past New Zealand and Australia, and I think Phil Robertson is going to be, well, he's going to be all or bust, I'd say. He's going to be fired up. He shoots from the hip at the best of times, and it's going to be interesting. Has he got his shooting eye in? Does he hit the target? I'm going to say he does. I think this venue will suit them quite well, and they have been sailing well. So I'm going to go Australia, New Zealand, and Canada.
I have a feeling that the Great Dane is going to make an appearance. I don't know why, but I just think Nikolai Sehested, Rockwell, Denmark, they're consistent. You never see them like at 9 and 10 usually. Usually, if a bad one for them is 6, 7, 8, the fact that they're sitting in 4th and they're 9 points out, I think. Do you know what, Todd? That could be a really good point. It's a tight race course. It's right in the town of Halifax. There, it's going to look spectacular. Halifax is a beautiful, beautiful place, but it's tight. It's going to be quite a fickle, shifty wind, I think, and I think consistency will be the key over the qualifying races to get to that final. You know, it's not going to be all about winning races. It's how consistent you could be. So it's a good shout with Denmark, but I'm still going to disagree. All right, I go with that. It's all coming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It'll be fantastic racing north of the border, the Rockwell Canada Sail Grand Prix, Halifax. Todd Harris, Stevie Morrison, Lisa Darmena will be reporting from the water. We hope you like the action, and we hope we get our predictions right, and we will recap everything after the event's over to see how well we did as we look forward to the next event, which is coming up on June 22nd, 23rd. That'll be the Mubudla, New York Sail Grand Prix. But for right now, we focus all our attention on Halifax, Canada, the 11th stop of Season 4 of SailGP.